My name is Eylül Düzgün and I'm a second year molecular biology and genetics student. This is my final project video for Physics 101, and the title of my experiment was to calculate the maximum static friction coefficient of two different surfaces and to compare them. In my experiment, the main purpose was obviously to prove that the surface with a rougher structure would have a higher friction coefficient compared to that of a smoother one. And I also got to work on some other non-main objectives, such as showing static friction at work and how it balanced out the force that I applied to my object, or how the value of static friction is fluid and can change depending on the force that you apply until the object starts moving. And for this experiment, I used some materials. These were a tiny spring dynamometer, which could accurately measure small ranges, a wooden block that I used to move on the surfaces, and these surfaces were a piece of sandpaper that was specifically made to be rough, and a smooth normal paper. I also used a calculator for my calculations while I was using the formulas, and I also used my phone to record the videos while I was taking the experiment. And the formulas that I used during the experiment were the formula of weight, which I used to calculate the weight after I measured the mass of my object, the formula of normal force, which was necessary while I was using the friction formula, and the formula of friction, of course. And after that, I also took advantage of the formula that implies that force is either bigger or equal to your static friction. And during my experiment, the results went as followed. Following the measurements that I got in the experiment, I was able to calculate the average coefficients for both of these surfaces. The coefficient for sandpaper was 0.941. Meanwhile, the coefficient for paper was 0.546. As you can see from that, the static coefficient of the sandpaper was a lot higher than that of the paper. This basically proved the hypothesis that my experiment was made to test, and therefore it was successful. There was also an error calculation for the uncertainty of the dynamometer that was used in the experiment, and after seeing how much of a percent error there was, the highest one was done for the mean of the paper, and that was still not high enough to completely disregard the experiment as unreliable, and that was only 16.7%. Meanwhile, the percent error rate for this sandpaper's coefficient was only 9.67%. And the reasoning for the difference in the measurements of sandpaper were probably caused by outside factors and random errors, such as the angle that I was holding the dynamometer or the dynamometer's end touching the ground. Overall, I would say that the experiment was a success and that it worked to do what was planned. Thank you for listening.